Hi, I'm Alyssa. I'm here to talk to you today about one of our 14 core strategies. These are the things that make up everything that we do, everything that we care about when we're thinking about creating curricula, when we're teaching, when we're working with students. The first thing that's really important to us has a couple of parts, but they're all interrelated. So let me break that down for you. It starts with believing in the phrase, I am capable of positive change. I'm sure you're also a student of Carol Dweck, the person who has been studying the power of fixed versus growth mindset for a really long time. And she does this TED Talk where she talks about the power of yet, i.e. the power of not yet. Like, I'm working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. Another person that I've learned addresses this is Kelly McGonigal. She teaches us about reframing. She also has a TED Talk where she talks about this very interesting phenomenon that if you think stress is bad for you, you are more likely to die of it. Whereas if you think stress is good and it's just part of everyday living and it's no big deal, you are more likely not to die from it. So that is insane that mindset can have such an effect on people's life or death, right? But if we know that that's true, then we can take that information and apply it to the business of creating curriculum. Another big piece of everything that we do is grit and resilience. If you're familiar with Angela Duckworth and her work on grit, i.e. resilience, being literally the most important thing when it comes to assessing preparation for success. So what we try to do is treat our kids like intelligent thinking adults. We show them the data, we show them the research, we show them the scientists, and we try to get them excited about it through the lens of a scientific discovery. Then on top of that, we're doing interventions wherever possible. Anytime the research says doing an intervention will have a profoundly positive effect or it will have a significant impact, that's what we want to do. So we use values and trait affirmations to counteract stereotype threat. We also know the power of visualization. If you look at an athlete's brain that is visualizing, you find that their brain is stimulated in the same way as when they're on the court, when they're running, or whatever their particular sport is. We know if you visualize, it is almost as powerful, depending on which study you read, just as powerful as actually doing the work. Let me tell you a little bit about a couple studies that I'm familiar with. So the classic experiment is the one that was done in 1984 by the Soviet Olympic coaches. They divided the athletes into 4 groups and had them train several hours every week. Each group had a different percentage of physical versus mental training. So group 1 is exclusively physical training, 100% zero mental training. Group 2, 75% physical training, 25% mental training. Group 3, 50-50. Group 4, 25% physical training, 75% mental training. I'm sure that you can imagine who won by the fact that I'm telling you this story, right? When the 4 groups were compared shortly before the 1980 Winter Games in Lake Placid, Group 4, the one who only had 25% of its time playing in a real situation, had shown significantly greater improvement than Group 3, which was 50-50. And then groups 2 and 1 following in that order. So that means that if you are only practicing and never visualizing, you're actually missing out on quite a bit of improvement. That's interesting, right? That shows us that visualization is the thing that really works. And so visualization is the thing that shows up in our curricula in a variety of ways. Another thing that we know works, mindfulness meditation. And you may be saying, wow, this is super woo-woo, like very airy-fairy, I don't know. But let me tell you about this. They did a study with University of Miami football players. Division 1, right? They divided them into 2 groups, an experiment and a control. The control group had supervised relaxation training, where they listened to calming music and learned to systematically relax their muscles. Group 2 did mindfulness meditation, which involves paying close attention to your breathing and to the present moment. The sessions were 12 minutes long, and they took place immediately after the players had finished strength training. Those in the meditation group, if they practiced often, showed considerable mental resilience, with higher scores than the other athletes in either group on the measures of both attention and mood. Mindfulness meditation is different from simple relaxation training because the people who just did the simple relaxation training, they didn't have these positive effects. You might be asking, okay, I get that mindfulness makes a difference, but why is it helpful? So remember, your mind is not rational and it's always cooking up its own nonsense. It's saying to you, I'm the worst, I'm gonna fail, but mindfulness makes you notice that your mind is doing that and stop those negative thoughts that are not rooted in reality. If you struggle with anxiety, anxiety is usually about a thing that happened before, the past, or what might happen in the future / conditional. So if you can stay in the present moment, that precludes the little man that lives in your heart that asks you all those crazy questions and makes you go nuts. That precludes him from going off the deep end because you are just in the present moment. And if you've ever done any therapy, you'll find that your therapist will often say something like, that's interesting. And your therapist is doing his, her, their level best to give you some distance between you and your emotions. And that's what this is all about.
Mindfulness keeps you rooted in the reality of now and distances you from the emotions of past, future, and what if.
So if we can name the anxiety that's arising as irrational, that's just my mind spinning out of control, it does that sometimes, now you have more agency, more tools with it to control it. Thank you for watching. For more information, check us out at Yleana.org and learn more about our successes and what we believe when it comes to decreasing the opportunity gap.